Hello, everyone. This is Ami Diamond from the SharePoint Wizard show. And in this episode, we have my co host, Inea Likash. Inea, how are you?
Hi, thanks. I'm fine. Thanks for having me today. And we also have,
I'm fine, of course. And we have André Lage. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's always complicated because from the Latin base should be André Lage. Even on German, it's André Lage,
Okay.
and it's always changed
Okay.
from place to place.
So please introduce yourself. Where are you from? What you do, and how did you get to IT? So people that don't know you will learn about you.
Sure, absolutely, no problem. So my name is André Lage. I live in Switzerland and I work for a company that is called Data Links. Originally, I'm not from Switzerland. I'm coming from Portugal. But
Oh,
during my different jumping from different jobs, I fall on the Switzerland where I work normally on the IT consultancy. My job is very solution manager, so I have to manage between the customer and the teams of the development. A lot of different corporation, normally Fortune 500, and my projects are very Microsoft 365 oriented with the SharePoint and all the different service associated with the Microsoft itself. And working with Microsoft since 1999, and I started with my IT on when I was 4 years old,
wow.
with my when I was with Pong and the other, and also the Times Sinclair. I think I'm very old already because I was starting with the CX Spectrum and copying the code from the magazine. So it was like 1984, 1985 itself. And then
Yeah.
slowly with the different IT and the structuration with Microsoft, since 1999 itself. And from there, always Microsoft technologies itself. Now, Microsoft 365, of course.
Now, are you what type of IT person? Because IT can be lots of things. Are you a programmer, developer? Are you a low code, no code, or for instance, I am none of the above. I'm just an implementator, and I know how to integrate and to customize SharePoint. So, what what specifically is your task in IT?
Since I already have already gone for all these different layers, like the very basic, even the hardware and the consulting and the development and the low code, uh, I try to cover all the different layers because experience is very important to identify the little errors and also
Yeah.
understanding the business proposal. How I normally work. This is something that also in AI is maybe also very can easily identify on big corporations. We have this big process and big uh, offers that we have to fulfill and the design specification. There is more business oriented, and of course, I try to do of the overview of the full implementation, also the project management, the tasks. If I have to go also to the code, I have to support. I'm not fixed on only one area itself, and I also have to supervise because here the experience is very important. How to deal, how to identify, how to be clear with the customer itself. How can for example, what is the workflow, what is the process, what was initially identified, and how this can be fit based on the technology they are proposing. Can be low code, can be the out of the box service from Microsoft 365, can be other type of solutions that have to be integrated. So I cannot really say that I'm only one phases. I have to overview like an architectural itself because
was
I have
about
to
to say,
understand the background on the front and also talk with the customer itself. And this is the complementary, of course, EH and also experience make all this more clear and more feasible to the customer to identify and also to help how to implement it itself. It's more on this cross layer overview.
so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I imagine you are from pre-sales, then architecture, and then if needed, maybe also implementation, I suppose.
Yes, I mean all types of meetings itself. I have days that we spend basically days on meetings. Days only try to align, understand all these things, understand the offers, how will be the cost of the implementation. If I have to do, for example, my last project that I did it, I even worked with Next.js and React itself just to learn it. Right now, I even create a portal based on that. And here the AI is very disruptive itself.
Now,
Also,
if you meet with a customer, would you offer him the simple, the out of the box, and if it doesn't fit, you would offer something more advanced, and if it's not okay, then you would provide the complex solution?
The type
Is
of
that the
corporation,
way you would propose?
the type of corporations, normally they are very big. What that means, they have a management team, and these management teams, they try to follow the ITIL process. And the ITIL process, you have departments for each different type of organizations. You have to go between these different organizations. They have specific business, and you have to talk with the different stakeholders and also on the different departments. Of course, when you want to have it out of the box, yes, but we need also to specify with the team, okay, we have a security feature that we have to be careful. What is critical for your side? What is the documentation? What is the archiving? How will be the deployment? How HR will be integrated on the platform that you want to deliver? So have to be, the solution is just a tool that should be used on the incorporation of the solution itself. Of course, we can say, I just want to have it. Okay, yes, we can have it, we can deploy it, but who is going to manage? What will be the process? What will be the documentation? And this is the type of things that proper organizations, they have all this process already implemented. If you are new and you want to be introduced, normally Microsoft does a good job presenting the tool. Now comes the consultancy and also the teams and the process and the help desk and all the technicals that give the guidance, how it should be implemented, how to give some guidance to don't get some surprises, especially with the security, because right now is with the securities have been a lot of different attacks on every type of corporation. I think it's becoming hotter and hotter on this topic itself.
Yeah. But this topic fits well to my question, because sure. I'm a Power Platform consultant, so I move around the Power Platform and SharePoint as well. So what's your experience on the Power Platform itself, maybe in combination with SharePoint? Do you offer it often as a solution? Do you work with it?
I try to, so depending on the needs and depending on the limitation. Like I said, we have sometimes big corporations, and big corporations, they have very strict rules. Like you said it, okay, I have the power apps. Normally the big corporations, yes, what they do is, okay, you can have access to the power app, but what can you not do? What is the limitation? Can you use Microsoft Azure functions? Can you use the key? Is Power Apps enough for you? And if you go to Power Apps, do I need to have a specific environment? And then you need to go with the different layers and to make the associated request. For your request, and that will be the critical decision, what type of business that we're going to talk. Some departments, they have enough budget that they can go with the full Dataverse approach itself or the Power Platform. And then you have the different teams, they have a specific need, and we have to be not inventive, but know what is available to give it the best solution based on the capabilities that we have. And this is how I try to approach also on the Power Platform. If they want to see on the big picture and there is a very specific requirement on the business, yes, we can cover all the different layers itself. And this is how I try to approach. It always depends who is in the other side, what is the real needs, and if you fully understand what is the impact on the business itself.
So you mean governance is usually the limitations that the organization sets for security and for guidelines and things that can restrict you from providing some solution compared to another?
The solutions are there. It's just the expectation cannot. They have to be adapt of the let's say. You cannot have a Ferrari that if you only have money for the Fiat. And not
Yeah.
comparing the cars, of course, but you have to you need to be realistic what going to be delivered and be clear. And if this message is clear, then people understand what can be delivered itself. And that's the key. And if people say, okay, I can go to the governance and can justify the cost, I'm okay with that, no problem. We can even go with different functions from Azure and implementations. The key here is really understand what can be done, what is the full expectation, and don't create false expectations. And this is extremely important for the customer to really be aware what can be delivered itself.
Okay, so I actually have a question because I'm more technical, and because I'm a SharePoint guy, and well, I guess all of us are. I saw such a big contribution that you have done in the matter of Microsoft lists and SharePoint lists regarding list formatting. So can you explain to people that don't know what is actually list formatting? And then the second question is, how did you get to the solutions you provided? Because you're doing very amazing things. You can start from very small things until things that like are games that you're doing on Microsoft List. So that's really so. Please explain first what is the compared to the out of the box, and then you can explain more how did you get to it. And
Sometimes it's better if I fully show. I don't know if I can share my screen, but if I
yeah,
can follow up with the full process, that what was the need and what was the needs that I
okay,
identified from the customer itself. So let me only try to access. Okay. And here, just go with entire screen. No, Chrome tab. And here, okay. As you can see here, so on the list formatting, what is the list formatting itself? So basically we have
yeah,
the normal lists from where we have some content and we have ability to display and to create our own content that we want to store it. But sometimes what I identify is with the modern websites, we have very limited capabilities how we can represent the content itself. And based on that, I try to provide something that can help the customer to provide the data they have. And here is a very simple example. So, for example, how can I interact and make it easier for the customer that the data they have it here and all these things that you are seeing is poor list formatting. And this is
wow,
data they have it stored in lists, and they can use it for interaction. For example, how this can be the data they use it. They can be easily understandable, easily manageable, and they can use it for the interaction itself. For example, we want to display some content as a tab. We want to create charts that represents values that is stored in the SharePoint list. How this can
yeah,
be represented to the customer in a more user-friendly approach. For example, if I go here and I will say it's not 10,000, but will be 50,000, and we have some interactions
Power
itself.
BI.
So I'm
and
sorry.
well, yeah, it's amazing, and
Looks like Power
I
BI.
like. I like it that you have this inline possibility to change it without going into the item and doing that. That's
And this is exactly another option that is provided by the list formatting. It's not only to change the UI itself of the list itself. Of course, it's very limited. You cannot really do fully very complex operations, but the list capability is made for collaboration. And then you can use the collaboration process. On the list formatting, if you pick the data that the customer stored, you can transform it that becomes more user interactive. And you can even define, for example, all these are different samples that can be used itself. Another thing
wow.
that I also try to do is the ability to use a more interactive and more capability itself of the solution itself. So the ability to display the information like an infographics approach, and you can even make some changing of the capabilities. And as you can see, everything that is based on SharePoint lists can be easily interacted with the different site.
So quick question.
Yes.
So this boxes where you're displaying the different animations, these are SharePoint lists, right?
Everything that is here is SharePoint list, and everything here that you are saying, for example, for this informatics, are all coming from one specific list. So I will try to use the out-of-the-box capabilities. Everything that you are seeing here is interacting with the capabilities of the lists, and the only thing I did is just customizations itself. We can even create a triangle and do some interactions that we can visualize the different change. We are talking about the tables, the content. We can do even some customizations. Of course, this is very, very nice to see, and it's not a very straightforward process. Here is I only try to create these samples that we can use it to interact and to provide some information directly to the customer without SharePoint SPFX solutions, but only using the low code of the list formatting itself. And
this is amazing. Listen, what does a user that wants to try to do it? What he needs to know JSON. He can just go to the PNP community.
The PNP already provide a lot of this example. And for example, the one that you are seeing here, this is a periodic table that I did it for the kids for education purpose.
Yeah.
And all these ones, they have, for example, links that automatically, when you click it will redirect to Wikipedia for this specific situation. And if we go to the content, how it is processed, we go to our SharePoint list itself. As you can see, we have all the items, all the meta information associated. That is supporting this content. And then I'll go to the format. And here is where the magic happens. Let's call it like this. Yeah. And here, what this does is nothing more a mix of JSON with HTML itself. And the data that is providing will generate the location of every type of these boxes and will redirect to the associated content. For example, the redirection to the Wikipedia regarding titanium, calcium, gold, and all the other properties itself. And this is only the things that I identify that is out there that is really great. And then try to combine as a solution. What the SharePoint list, if it is used out of the box, is just a normal flat data. So let's keep it and create a discussion board. A discussion board and all these things is in the SharePoint list will provide, we can redesign that we can create new entries itself. For example, I have an option that says, okay, I want to talk about chemicals. I can create a new entry, and then I say, this is the content about the post. I can even go there and say, I like this content. So let's say hello.
Wow.
And this automatically will interact with itself. I can even create comments. And then what I do, I use the service from the Power Automate, and then on the background, he'll do new entries in a support list that I have the response itself. So the lists with the list formatting that you can customize it, plus the support service from Microsoft 365, you can do a lot of different actions, and you can create even full solutions that you can create and visualize it itself. So we can go here, you can create your new entry, you can define the answers and the options, you can even define what are you going to do and tag them itself, and automatically will be responsive. If there are multiple answers, if we click it there, this will automatically create, and you can do some emotions itself. And this is the full solution that also identify or say, oh, I have a SharePoint list. It's not only to save the data. I can use it to proper present it to the customer, and they can interact it and do some actions itself. Of course, with the limitations that SharePoint also provides. And another one that I also did it, that I think is also interesting, is the capability to use the board to create tasks that you already see on the project management itself. Here you can do some carding itself, and you can switch the actions associated. Of course, you can also define some association, like I want to add a flag. So let's see if this is adding or not. Sometimes
looks like a planner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this was one of the
Exactly.
examples that was done regarding the presentation. Okay.
Wow.
Now, let me
Yeah,
see
it's
if it.
okay.
I
Yeah.
remember when I
And this
started.
was changing the colors. Of course, any moment, and this is what I did. It. I tried to even migrate, not migrate, but replicate what we have at in Planner, only using the lists from SharePoint. And you can use also all the other services that you are aware with the Power Automate, with the current rules and reminders, and you can create your own tasks itself. You can even define different actions that you can create it and minimize it. So let me see. Okay, it's just taking some time. But as you can see, I can expand and collapse all these
Yeah. Wow.
little things. And how it is done? Basically, what I have done is just a list with the columns that is supporting the list formatting, what the users see and how they're going to interact it itself. And of course, like you said it, I also have some applications like video, like games,
Yep.
that you can also interact it. And all these ones are also all based on the SharePoint list.
Wow.
Christmas tree, and
Amazing.
this is also more for presentation of the customer. For example, for Christmas time, I create a Christmas tree, and people can access it. Will be, oh, that's nice. And also, I can use using the formulas from list formatting. You can create the conditions like good evening, good morning, and good night. And all these things, what I have done is create formulas using the dates and the list formatting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if it is more than 5 in the morning, I will say it's a good morning. If it is after 12, it's a good afternoon. And after, if I'm not wrong, after 7, it's already good night. So I change the different, and I use it as a presentation. When the user arrives, he'll say, hello, Andre, hello, person X,
Wow.
or good morning. It's also nice. It's not only to have it, but also to interact with the users. Of course, the main goal of the lists is to be used to store it, data, to use it,
Yeah.
and to be useful for the business itself. And then I did with a solution that, for example, I create a game, I create a tic-tac-toe, for example,
Yeah.
and this is
Wow.
all the different capabilities that you can use it directly from there. Also some tiles. And this gives you the ability, and this is that you could also use it, and I converted all these different solutions to Power Automate itself. This one here and also this
Wow.
one here. And let me only stop it, and let me only connect it again, and I can share with you.
Just to clarify, these are formatting of the view, not of the columns, right?
Or the view. Also, I can. It is also possible to do it for the columns itself. Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry
I
for
was
this.
about to say before. I remember when I started with SharePoint, and I first tried to format my first column, and I was so happy that I can change the color of the text. And now you can see what you can all do.
Yeah, it's
No,
amazing.
but
And
that's I think.
now you can change the color of the folder as well without
Yeah,
But this is what I learned. So basically, working on this type of solutions. So I'm going to share it one more time. What I did it was also the transformation of the solution itself. So let me see if I have it already migrated, because this will be the next point that we're going to interact it. That will be with the AI and with the Microsoft list itself. Okay. Okay. So I apologize. I was trying to connect and then something fell. Okay. And then what I picked from the list formatting, I converted to Power Automate. And then I create on the Power Apps, you can create some interaction and data that can be automatically rotate. You can store some information on your SharePoint list, and you can do it for your interaction. The same can be done, for example, if you want to have some data, and for example, I want to get information from the business that I stored in lists. And then I will have some information, and automatically will be filtered itself. When I click it, interact it, and of course, all these things are responsive, and that will automatically interacted, and resized. So the data from the list, the list views, and the conversion to the apps, everything has different needs and different solutions for each one of the different options itself. And
So-
definitely, this is the full process from my point of learning.
Would this replace sometime SPFX solution, or it would be, it?
SPFX solution definitely is, you can do almost everything, and that's definitely huge.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
more specific, more small oriented, not full solution process like this, not so more that you have to interact with the SharePoint lists, with the data, with the visuals, that even it is very limited, but you see what you can already do it by out of the box, and not out of the box, but using some customization with the list formatting, you can create a more user-friendly. And we always say focus on the SharePoint lists. And you also can customize the columns. For me, the most important will be the AI. One AI model that I see is, for example, the ability to create prompts where you have your SharePoint lists, and you're going to say, okay, Amit, or business client, I want to have a HR list that needs to have that needs to have a column X, P, and C with the titles and the columns. But I want to filter the data with more than 1,000, and when it's more than 1,000, will be with the red color. And I see AI models where this already generates the views and all this compressed data that can be already customized. I think this could be the future on the AI integrated with the Microsoft list. The ability to make prompts that the views and the clicking that we did it today can be converted to text itself. Plus, because the integration of the graph APIs with all the different services, I'm not talking only SharePoint lists, will be able to make prompts with the documents from other libraries, the lists, tasks, emails, and then he can generate these views and even tables with the mixed data. I hope that AI goes down that area. That is my expectation, at least.
When you're talking about AI, you mean the Copilot? Is that
the Copilot itself? For me, is the Copilot is the ability to make questions where I'm going to interact with data inside Microsoft 365. And my goal will be something like that. Then lists could be interesting, but not only the list more to create the content, but then we will need a consolidation where this Copilot will grab data from the SharePoint lists, from the emails, and then can create tables and dashboards associated with the content that we want to display. I think the future there will be huge and huge impact. And also the future for Power Apps, also on the Power Apps itself, on the lists, everything that is we consider right now a service can be if everything goes the way I expect on the Copilot, we just need to make the right prompts that we can connect the data from the different services, and that will be a huge change on the business itself.
You just answered my third question, actually, where I was going to ask you what to think about the future of SharePoint, but now we know.
I don't know. I'm just expecting that something goes on that area.
You don't have the glass ball.
Yeah, well, we had an interview with a Microsoft employee, and he mentioned the SharePoint Premium, or what's the new SharePoint actually will have possibilities not only to work with SharePoint, but to use SharePoint as the backend and to connect to any application or anything, and to integrate also with AI. And I think it will be very interesting when it comes.
The key, I'm really interested to know what will be the tools for the integration process. Like I said, I saw some other models from other low-code applications, other cloud service and applications, not Microsoft related. I already saw their models, and this is really interesting. And the biggest challenge that I see is the back office process. How are we going to create the data source? How are we going to interact it? How are we going to create the condition of the prompts that he will understand how the data that we want to interact, and also, of course, the security trimming, what will be accessible. And here I'm really interested what will be, and also the timelines, because I don't know if this will take, because right now, like we have it on the social networks. So we are in the first generation of the social networks. First was the MySpace, and then there was another one, and now with the Meta, and we are the first phase. On the AI, we are just in the first generation itself. Means that it's right there, it's just on the wild. It's out on the wild, people are exploring. They can even, one thing that I'm doing, I'm picking my Raspberry Pi, and I'm putting machine learning process data itself just to be able to understand it itself. But I'm really interested in how this is the consolidation, because everybody is doing AI, big wording, everybody. Now
ChatGPT.
that will be who is going to survive, who is going to be bought, and who is going to be merged. And that will be the second phase. The first one will be the fully conversion integration with the big platforms, and let's see how easy it will be for the data and the consolidation itself.
Andre, I wanted to talk about a bit about community and contributions. I saw from the link about your all about what you do, that you were also an MVP for a long period, and I noticed you continue contributing. Can you, do you speak in sessions? Do you do some things, or what is your? I know you're very active, but can you speak more about?
I low down a little after 6 years, and I was getting a little burnout, because it's very hard to measure different things, and this also consumes a lot of your brain, and also the work itself and the expectations. And then I start to feel, okay, I need to really fit what is my priorities, and I will need to take my own time. And this is what I did. Let's step down a little, continue to do my presentation from time to time itself. But let's do this, or let's make it. I don't need it anymore. I don't really need it. I ask myself, I want only that people recognize me, and they respect me. And of course, on that point, but I don't want it more this race, it's like a rat race,
I can tell you, I met lots of people from the community, actually, also in the list formatting area, Federico Fabia, and there's a Japanese guy, Tetsuya, or something like that. Lots of very creative people, and it's really amazing what they do. And I know you also support each other to help find solutions, and it's really it's a great community. You don't need to be an MVP for that, and MVP is just it makes you recognize what you did. But I understand, it's, you need to make a work and life balance. Well, not work and life, community and life.
Community, work, life.
Absolutely. And
work, life, community, and sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was also a thing that I don't sleep too much. Normally, I only sleep 3 to 4 hours maximum every day. And but the list formatting was something that fell on the sky. I saw something that I start to enjoy, was like a game, and I see, oh, that's great, and this is simple, and this is straightforward, and it's an easy win. You know what I'm saying? Because my main presentation,
for other people, it can be very complicated.
They look like it's not that complicated. It's just HTML. And the key for me is, how can I put the data to be presentable to the customer itself? Because they say, I don't want to click 2 or 3 times until I go to a list that is really hard, or I need to export on Excel. Can I make it a little better, more visible, more understandable? And this is what I try to explore a little more, because my contributions were more on Microsoft Graph, more development, more hard code. I even create some tools for Microsoft itself on the Microsoft Graph toolkit. And also, because I try to cover not only one area, but different areas itself. But the list formatting is the one that for some time I hook itself, and then everything starts to pop up like crazy.
Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I have one last question that I prepared, and because I'm a little bit more technical, I would like to go back to the technical aspect. And you mentioned before that you also work sometimes with SharePoint as a backend where you use it on Power Apps maybe, and so on and so forth. So I want to ask the question that every backend guy would say no. Can SharePoint lists or SharePoint in general be used as a database? And also to this question, adding, after it has been decided to be used as a database, is there a way for the users that come from Power Apps, for example, to with help of your formatting, to not be able to see anything else that they don't need to see in that SharePoint list? Maybe to hide the editing grid view and so on and so forth, to make it like, I don't know, like a box.
So first question is SharePoint list database? Technically, it's not. Point. It's very simple like this. SharePoint list is a collaboration service that is provided to collect information and to share it between the different users. Straightforward. Technically, IT, you cannot even question that. It is the way it is. It's used of course, a lot of users and companies, they use it to collect their information. Because what we try to do, and I think this is what you do with the Power Apps, is how we can interact it with the Power Apps. We can connect it, and we sometimes start to grow too fast, too large, and then you need it to make the migration itself to a better platform itself. And this is normally the process that I identify with the business when start to become, I don't say unmanageable, because they are actions and process that you can do on the Power Apps to manage all this process. But of course, the efforts start to become really great, and the workflows and the process become more complex. So yeah, there's a lot of gymnastics in the middle that you start to see, okay, because we need to start to understand about compliance. We need to understand where the data is stored. If this is validated by auditing teams, and if it is secured, are the data that we collected, we're going to have some type of security process associated. So the connection to the SharePoint is validated. It's even valid by the governance team. So that's why I say initially, yes, when we have to reach a point, we need to start to question and say, hey, this is not only initial support, initial solution. We need to go to the different level itself. And that's what is give a leverage to use a deeper knowledge on the Power Platform itself.
Yeah, but most of the companies ask if we can just use SharePoint because of the money aspect. No? They have the minimum Office 365 license, and they have SharePoint and don't want to pay for Dataverse. No? And then they ask, okay, now we have that, but how can we restrict those SharePoint lists that our users who are using the Canvas apps can, if they go there, cannot see nothing, but the better they cannot go there at all. So they want both worlds. No?
So the question here, you see it on the security point of view. That's exactly the point that you have to be clear with them. This is not if you want to go like this, or you restricted the permissions associated with the list. Point. There is no other way. You have to restrict the permissions associated, and this will be security trimmed. If they don't want them to see and other things, well, you can always use in the operations, like with the PowerShell, you can hide the list, you can do some operations, you can try to hide it. But remember, the moment you make a search, you need to also options that you can do, go to the SharePoint list and remove it from the search. So you can mitigate, but you cannot fully hide it itself. So this will never going to happen because users need to have access to the list. No other way. That's why I was saying, on the governance level, if the data already is to start, go to the critical level, go to the next level, who is going to have access, then you have to say stop, and we need to do a different process. Maybe it's not a SharePoint list, maybe it's a database, maybe it's a different even process that you can use it for the storing of the data. But you have to be honest with the customer and say, okay, I understand the costs, but you also need to understand what will be the cost from the other side. I can mitigate. I'm sorry?
And the risk, of course, no?
And the
If
risk
that's
is
sensitive
associated with
data,
it.
you cannot risk it just for saving the money.
Exactly. How critical is the data for you? Is this business critical? Is your company in risk if this data is leaked for some other reason? So are you really think we want to keep it on that way? Because we already saw situations, at least from my point of view, already situations where all the business was stored in an Excel or Access content. And that's really very critical on some situations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Andre, to wrap up, do you have some hobbies or things that you would like to share that you do besides tech?
No
Can you
time.
share with listeners what you like to do besides work? Is there anything?
Wanderen, hiking. That's
Oh,
what I go over
in the
Switzerland,
mountains?
crossing the mountains.
Yeah.
I,
What's the
I,
highest point you reached?
the highest one was 4,000, and was
Meters.
tough because I didn't have air. Well, the air was there, but on the
Yeah.
air. But
Very thin.
normally, if I have the chance, I go from hood to hood, from the
Yeah.
mountains itself, on the Alps for 3-4 days, and then with my friends. Because one thing is, you should never go alone. Point number
Yeah.
one: never do wanderen or hiking alone, and also bicycle itself. But I just normal bicycle
Do
itself.
you use this special
Yeah,
sticks?
of course, I have it.
The
I have
skiing
it.
tips for hiking? Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
I
it
have it
help you?
because it take me
That's Nordic walking, right?
Nordic walking. Yeah, genau.
Yeah. Okay, so it was a pleasure to meet you, and we're so happy you agreed to join our show. And it was great to also to meet all of you. And I want to thank you and see you in the next episode. So goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.